and welcome to Good Game Pocket Edition, your bite-sized summary for gamers by gamers. I'm Barjo.
And I'm Hex. This week we grabbed our bucket and spade and dived into the bottomless sandbox that is GTA 5.
We got work to do, Employee of the Month.
GTA 5 has been all-consuming this week, so we haven't had much time to play anything else. But we did get some silly scares in with Outlast. Miles Upshur is the unlucky journalist trapped inside a mental asylum filled with deranged killers. Without any weapons, your only options are to run for your life and hide wherever possible. Atmosphere is intense as you creep through the darkness, only able to see using your camera. The aim is to survive long enough to escape the asylum and find out who's behind this tragedy.
Get in the dumbwaiter if you want to live!
Firstly, why would anyone go out to an abandoned asylum in the middle of nowhere without a weapon or a phone or anything? This is textbook 101 horror film stuff.
Yeah, it is a bit cliche, but I think the fact that you're so helpless is what keeps that tension really high. Especially when you're hiding in something like a locker and you can hear the killer right outside. Or when you're running in the dark and the batteries in your camera need to be replaced.
This game does a great job of creating tension. But it's also a double-edged sword because I found myself getting really fatigued and frustrated at the repetitive nature of these scares and feeling really helpless all the time. Often I'd be running from killers, desperately trying to find a way out and just hitting locked door after locked door. It was always just creep around for a bit, then run madly for a bit, and it never really evolved past that. If this was a shortish game, I think that would be fine, but as an 8-hour game, it needed to be more than it is, so I gave it 6 out of 10 rubber chickens.
I went into this expecting to be squirming uncomfortably the entire time, and I was. I think it's rare to play a game this scary. I gave it 8.5. Indie games can often be divisive. That's part of the reason why we love them so much. Goose recently spoke to some indie developers to find out about the state of the local industry.
It's no secret that the Australian games industry has been hit hard by big studio closures in recent years, but there is a growing and distinct indie dev community filling that gap. We caught up with a few local devs who are making a splash with some of their indie titles.
This was originally developed as an Unreal Tournament 3 mod, as the student project. So the original plan was to only take just a couple of months at the start of 2010 and make a standalone version. In those couple of months, I was invited to speak at the GDC, and I met, people who had made like World of Goo, and I met Jonathan Blow, who'd made Raid. And so I decided, all right, maybe now that I have all of this new advice and information, I'm going to spend another couple more months until I eventually got 3 years down the track and finally released it.
It's taken us 2 years to develop it, on and off. Last year we got funding from Film Victoria, so I've been able to work on it full time for the last year or so.
Well, it's been 8 years from start to finish, and we've been through everything in that time. We've had publishers come and go, pull out, and we've had accountancy problems, we've had currency issues that we've had to deal with. It seems like everything has gone wrong. We finally got to the point where, with the last publisher walkout maybe 18 months ago, we could get Fractured Soul and take it to the eShop directly. We didn't need a publisher.
The biggest challenge we face is time. I was having to manage a team that's mostly guys from the internet, people all around the world. I had a crazy sleep cycle because I have to be up early in the morning to talk to a guy from the United States about art for the game, and then I have to be up late in the night to talk to a programmer in the Netherlands, and then I have to sleep at some point.
It's very difficult for indie developers to get the kind of exposure that the bigger companies get, particularly the AAA companies, and that's really the fight for indie developers.
The marketing side of things is difficult for absolutely everyone. No one wants to do it. Everyone would rather just work on the game. But if you are that serious about what you're doing, then you have to get good at that as well.
It gets to the point where you think, maybe this project is cursed, maybe it's never going to come out, and maybe it is a better idea to go to a stable job where you get better money and you're not struggling all the time. But the thing that motivates you, and I believe that most game developers, particularly indie developers, are in this boat where it's almost a very ego-based industry. You go to a trade show and you see people playing and loving the game, and you come back and you just want to work on it. You just want to see that again. It's kind of like a drug.
Thanks, Goose. Hex, before we delve into GTA, I think we should go answer some questions at the Ask Good Game desk.
Good idea.
Good game.
Right, well, this week's question comes to us from St. Patrick, who is in Steelport outside Australia. Why were the drugs in Saints Row 4 denied when other games like GTA 5 have drugs?
Well, it's both complicated and very simple. In the classification board's words, Saints Row 4 was initially refused classification because drug use related to incentives and rewards is not permitted. So essentially, having drugs in a game isn't an issue as long as using those drugs doesn't reward the player in any way, such as with a health boost or something like super strength.
Where's a septic truck when you need one?
Yeah, we imagine that rule is there so that games can't glorify drug use. State of Decay ran into that same issue too. Using drugs could help you stay awake, so that was refused classification until they changed it.
We'd have been in real trouble otherwise.
I understand why it's confusing though. For State of Decay, they just changed the names of the drugs from stimulants to supplements. But at the end of the day, you're still using a substance to create the same effect. It just has a different name. So to put it simply, the classification board has guidelines to work with and just have to judge whether or not the drug use is related to incentives and rewards. And if it is, they can't pass it. But speaking of giving things a pass, I think it's time we moved on to your review.
Well, I guess Saints Row 4 is the obvious choice for this week, and there's a fairly mixed bag of opinion. Cat Lover here writes, "Too much customizing. It will hurt your head." 6.5 stars.
And of course, H.2 weighs in again.
Again?
Yes, again. He writes, while this Saints Row is a bit better than its predecessors, with the whole sandbox with superpowers vibe going for it, overall the missions are stupid. The story, despite the fact it's meant to be a parody of itself, is just weak and lame, and they need to work on it just a tinge more. Although it's fun to go around and cause chaos, which is the main premise, I find it's too stupid. The jokes sometimes lack momentum, or are off-market, and it still depicts women as objects like the third one did. Luckily, we have GTA 5 for this type of game done right. 6 stars.
Your bravado means nothing.
So let's end on a high note with this glowing praise from the other boss who wrote, "Saints Row 4 is so hilarious because of all the funny reminders of other games like Mass Effect, Metal Gear Solid, and how the bosses run around like Alex Mercer and James Heller form Prototype 2. There are a whole bunch of weapons and weapon skins. There are a whole bunch of other cool stuff like mech suits, alien vehicles, and weapons. There hasn't been a game like Is since God Hand. That is why it deserves 20 out of 20. 10 stars.
Well, a wide array of scores there. But on that note, let's go back to the studio, Hex.
Good game.
Where do we even begin with Grand Theft Auto 5? Developer Rockstar have put everything they've got into this. It combines everything they've learned from making all of their games to build a living, breathing world that moves and changes around you. It's the most impressive open world game ever created.
And where previous GTAs have said, no, you can't do that, no, you can't go there, GTA 5 says, yes, you can do that, and here, have a free parachute.
We were about 25 hours in before we had to put the controller down and write this review, and it feels like we've only just started, Barjo.
The first few hours in a new open world, Hex, they're just so joyful. I spent my first day with this game just mucking about and exploring, with my in-game phone on sleep mode, actively avoiding any narrative, just to see how big and different everything is.
But a city is nothing without its people, and in Los Santos they're an angry, hilarious bunch.
Get ready for the... Jesus Christ!
In GTA 5, you play as multiple characters, and once you've unlocked them, you can switch at certain times.
The contrast between these characters makes this the most interesting GTA storyline yet, and how their paths all intersect and cross over is so sophisticated.
Yeah, and switching characters not only brings new mechanics into the mix, but it means the game is never just one tone.
Another turn chop? I gotta school your ass.
It also means you're not just playing one jack-of-all-trades character. Each has their own special trait. I loved driving with Franklin. It's just thrilling pulling your car out of tough situations. The better you drive and the more stunts you complete successfully, the better your character's handling skill gets. And this goes for stamina and gunplay as well. You can improve these skills with activities or just by using them more.
How much gear do you need?
There is a hefty mix of side missions and activities, some we know well and some that are more interesting, like the one we have to help this paparazzo.
I love you, Miranda!
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of taking a thing we've done a million times in games, taking photos and then making it more interesting and unique every time.
Move! Come on, man! Hit the gas!
Rockstar are meant to have spent hundreds of millions of dollars in this game, and I really think you can see it in the way the detail just fleshes out even the smallest of missions.
And that's really what sets us apart, isn't it? That attention to detail. such as the slight jet stream off your parachute, engine smoke from planes, the reflection on the back of your smartphone, the deep website integration of the world's interwebs, the worn soles of Michael's shoes. There's just so much of it, and it's the little things that make GTA 5 so big.
Hey, Lester, we got a pest control van.
Good. Now we just need the knockout gas.
There's a big focus on heists in this game, and they're thrilling. And on the heists, taking more risks means more money, and more things that can go wrong during the mission.
They've focused much of this game around really building your heist team rather than just haphazardly blasting your way to the top of the gangster food chain.
You know, open world games are greater than the sum of their parts, and all the parts of this game are great, so that makes this, it's great.
The best.
Such fun! It's insanely clever and relentlessly fun, and the best is probably still yet to come with the multiplayer. I gave it 10 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yes, I think I can honestly say I've never played a game with this much to do and with this much polish, so I gave it 10 out of 10 as well.
Good game.
Whew, I don't think we could cram any more into Pocket this week, but don't forget you can catch regular episodes of Good Game at 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday nights on ABC2.
Yes, and next week we're going to go from one open world to another with Arma 3. I have to say, as incredible as Grand Theft Auto is, I don't think I've seen a world that looks as real as this Arma 3 world.
Yes, now they just need to fill it with zombies.
Yes.
Till next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Barjo out.